Welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by Play Picks and the Lines. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. We're looking at our favorite video of each and every day, the player props video we've got for you tonight on a pretty big Wednesday night slate here. Nate does have his great article as well up on playpicks.com with some player props and best bets in there for you. And make sure to like and subscribe and check out those other couple game videos we have for you on this big slate tonight. And as always, if you do still need a FanDuel or a DraftKings account, head to ftpicks.com or dkpicks.com and find those listings in your area, such as what we've got for tonight's player props. Nate, let's get into it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to start by attacking the Bulls, even though our guy DeJounte Murray came up short of the points on Monday. Still had 12 dimes, though, and it's a different kind of matchup now against De'Aaron Fox, who's really just a downhill speedster. The Bulls are still going to be exploitable with Caruso, Lonzo Ball, and Zach LaVine out. Javonte Green still questionable. They're allowing the third most assists per game to point guards their last 7 at 11 per game. So Fox at 28.5 points assists, really just as appealing as the 23.5 points. I think he probably gets both. I think he'll probably score over 25 points tonight. In his last 5, he's averaging 27 and 5 dimes, shooting about 50%. It's kind of liberating for him, I assume, with the Kings getting rid of Tyrese Halliburton, because it just was a bit of a redundancy in terms of having 2 point guards in 8 games without Halliburton this year, averaging 26 points, 5 assists with a 31% usage rate compared to 20.5 points and a 28% usage rate. His first 3 with Sabonis averaging or posting a 119 offensive rating. That's a great fit for those two guys, even though Sabonis also let us down on Monday. But Fox averaging more points and assists per game on the road, 23 points on the road. Actually has 24 plus points in 7 of his last 8 against the Eastern Conference. And the exception there is Cleveland, who just seems to shut everybody down, especially guards. Gotta love this matchup with the Bulls with a 232-point total. DeMar DeRozan, by the way, now projected to score 32.5. So the props have finally caught up to him. But we're going to target the other side and find his most likely dance partner in as the Bulls keeps playing shootouts.
Yeah, I like the Fox pick. He was the pick the other night when we went with DeMontis, who did everything we needed him to do in the rebounds and assist category, just did not put the ball in the basket. And I do think we're going to be able to get that tonight against the Bulls as well, where they continue to struggle, obviously without Caruso, Lonzo, LaVine out, and then Javonte, huge defensive player for them as well. If he's out, he's questionable right now. So, yeah, I like the Fox pick that he's the right guy in this game, I think. So, interesting to hear about those DeMar DeRozan picks, prop, by the way, going up to 32.5, where it's been sitting at 25.5 for so long that we could just keep gobbling it up. But 32.5 is a little bit of a different beast. So Fox is the play in this game. Looking at another game where there's some points expected. We got the Grizzlies taking on the Blazers. I'm looking at Anthony Simons in this one. It's time to start talking about him especially since CJ left. The last 4 without CJ. Simons, by the way, his points prop at 21.5 points. We really, really like the points. There's also some 3-pointers in here at 4. If he makes more than 4.5 threes, so 5 threes for him is plus 130 money. And that's how he's been scoring. As we know, he's an excellent shooter. In his last 4, 27 points and 3 assists, 6 boards, but he's playing 37 minutes per game in that time with a 28.5% usage rate to lead the team. This is all very, very, very relevant to CJ McCollum not being there in those last 4. He's averaging 12 3-point attempts in that time as well. Might as well start calling him Anthony Wardell Curry Simons there. But he's making almost 5.5 of those threes in his last 4 on those 12 attempts. Once again, as we mentioned, without CJ, and they're very big for him. Memphis's defense has been bad in their last 7. They've gone 7, not horrible, but just specifically, in the bottom half in terms of allowing points from deep, percentage points from deep, the overall opponent percentage from deep. They're just that's where teams are scoring on them in those last 7 as they've gone over in those last 7 with that bad 3-point defense. And Anthony Simons, even before CJ left, if you go back 10 games, 6 of those which were with CJ in the lineup, he's still averaging that 22.5 points, shooting 4 of 11 from 3 with a 27% usage rate. So everything's gone up for him. Without Dame, they finally said, all right, fine, you're the Dame of this season, I guess, even though obviously they plan to bring Dame back and continue that small guard backcourt with Anthony Simons just taking the place of CJ. See how that goes. I don't think it's a great idea, as we already saw what happened with CJ. Their ceiling is the Western Conference Finals. But at any rate, I think Simons is still a guy who's going to continue to put up CJ-like numbers, and without CJ and Dame in there, continue to score at a rate of well higher than 21.5 points with all those field goal attempts that he's putting up every single game now.
Yeah, Portland's been surprisingly feisty following these trade deadline moves. They're getting a lot of guys in there who are hungry to prove themselves at the NBA level. And I think he told me their defensive rating way up. So we should see a closer game than expected here in Memphis. They're plus 12 on the road, but the Grizzlies are without Ja Morant. So we could see another surprising result from Portland, who just beat Milwaukee. Granted, Giannis was out, but really, yeah, it's about targeting these guys who are suddenly the guy on their team, and their props are slower to adjust. I really like the points here, even though the odds are nowhere nearly as good at 21.5, just because I think the usage rate is so high. I do like 5 threes if a guy's going to take 16 triples in his last game. I certainly could see him hitting 5 of those if he continues to attempt at such a high rate. So no problem with any of those picks. I'm going with a less of a scorer, more of a Charlie Hustle guy at the Garden tonight. It is the Nets taking on the Knicks without any of their star power, available yet. So why not another Bruce Brown night? He actually carried them to their first win in 12 games with 16 points, 9 boards, 6 assists, 5 steals, 3 blocks over 38 minutes against the Kings on Monday. Steve Nash, still trying to find the right pieces to string together any wins without his stars. Maybe there was some just easy plug and play situations the last couple of years where you're just like, well, if they just trot James Harden out there, or trot Kevin Durant, and we'll probably win. Now he's going to have to coach a little bit more, and he's going to have to use guys like Brown, who do a lot for your team beyond the scoring category. Really like the rebounds prop for him tonight at 5.5. You get slightly over plus 100 there at FanDuel, or you can take 14.5 points and rebounds at exactly even money. He went for 15 and 14 the last time he went to MSG, played 30 minutes in that game. When he gets the 30 to 36 minutes, he's reliable for this prop for sure. Last year, 14 points, 9 boards, per 36. This year it's down a little bit, 11 points and 7.5 boards still, though, getting you over these props. It's a Knicks team that is 29th in field goal shooting over the last 2 weeks and allows the 4th most points per game to shooting guards in that span, and the 8th most rebounds to shooting guards on the season. It's just Brown's a great rebounding guard, and this game is projected to be scrappy, and that's where you want to target, I think, rather than expecting stars to score a certain amount of points.
Yeah, because there are none for Brooklyn in this game. So yeah, there's not going to be any star scoring points. We have a 1-game sample now of what that looks like with Seth Curry and Andre Drummond in the lineup. We should mention that they're a big reason that they won as well. But yeah, you mentioned Steve Nash should be playing Bruce Brown a lot more. That was a conversation at the beginning of the season. Probably would have remained a conversation if the Nets had remained at all relevant, but they've been skidding so much that's the talk of their town more than anything. I would also just throw out there, if you want Seth Curry, 23 points in his opening at 16.5 points for his prop, you get even money back there. I really, really like the odds you get on that return as well for him to get 17. I think he drops 20 tonight. Who else is scoring for Brooklyn right now? And that can really put the ball in the way that Seth Curry can. Cam Thomas is nice. Kessler Edwards is fine. But you've got Seth Curry now. You've got a top sort of 15, 20 little small scoring guard, at least at his position in that role. So I like both. I do like Bruce Brown as well, because I'm hoping Steve Nash learned his lesson enough to say, obviously we need this guy to be playing a significant role and getting into the mix. But yeah, Seth Curry as well, even money I love. And then let's finish this off with the other Curry, going back to Steph, because we don't think that his the props are not set correctly yet for him. His points are at 24.5 tonight. similar to exactly the same as Anthony Simons, actually over 4.5 made threes is also plus 130 on DraftKings. Both of those things feel pretty good, as I do think the slump is over. I mean, look, the only reason I'm cautious to say the slump is over after his breakout performance in a loss to the Clippers, which was wild, considering, I mean, it wasn't wild when you look at the stats. Steph was the only one scoring with those 33 points that he had that night, and those 8 made 3-pointers. So, the only reason I would say I'm a little bit scared of saying the slump is over is he loves playing the Clippers, which is why we loved picking him against them. But at the same time, I do think that it was just we'd all believe it was, going to be 1, maybe 2 games to really turn this thing around. And in his last 3, he's averaging more than 31 points a game, shooting splits from, 48% from the field, 38 from 3, with about almost 5 threes per game, 4.7 in those last 3. They're taking on Denver tonight, and Steph seems to love playing them. He's averaging about 36 in his last 4 versus Denver, shooting 6 for 13 from 3. So just when you think other players are starting to average as many 3-point attempts as Steph, he ups it 1 to that 13. But that's 46% from 3-point against this team, who does struggle from guarding the 3-point, and specifically to point guards as well. In their last 15, they're overall a good defensive team is Denver. They're allowing the 6th most points to point guards and the 4th most 3-pointers made to that position as well. So yeah, it's Steph at home, where he does average 25.5 a game on about 4 threes made in that time, shooting 37% on the season from the Chase Center is he. So I think this is another good example of 24.5 points is not yet enough. I think, by the time we get to a week or 2 out after the All-Star break, we'll probably see Steph back at about 28.5 points in terms of his point prop. So I think we still need to grab that before Vegas catches up to what he's about to be putting out.
The interesting thing is, if you're a Warriors fan, you hope you don't see Steph up there at those points props, because it is kind of the Steph Curry of last year, where he just has to go off to give his team a chance. And it's not the balanced attack we saw the Warriors when they were on that heater earlier this year. Even a couple weeks ago, when they were having a more balanced attack with about 6 guys averaging double digits. So, yeah, but I think we're going to get 1 or 2 more games like that before the Warriors get their veterans back after the break, presumably. And I do think Curry will be gunning against the Nuggets team that can limit everybody else. They do very well against every other position, but the point guard position, but guarding Steph Curry. Monte Morris is out, probably out tonight with a concussion as well. Gives him one less guy to deal with on that end. And yeah, it's just, I feel much better about the greatest shooter ever hitting 5 threes than Anthony Simons, no matter what the difference is in terms of usage rate. So I like Steph there at those odds, and love him to get 25 points.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, there was a nice little pep in his step in that last Clippers game that looked a lot more confident. I think he needs to see the first couple go in, and then we should be good tonight. So 24.5 points too low for Mr. Curry, and that is why we love it. So that is all the time we have for you in this one. Do like and subscribe to that page, and check out those other couple of game videos we have on a super fun Wednesday night slate. And until we see you next, happy betting.